Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming to the Stockport Business Expo today. My name's James Caldwell, and I'm the Managing Director of Innovate Conference Services. For those who don't know kind of who we are and what we do, Innovate is classed by our industry as a professional congress organiser, but it's a little bit trickier to explain than that because we're not a typical events company, and we're not a typical conference organiser. Long story short, we organise world conferences, national conferences, regional exhibitions to a ridiculously high standard, and I head up that team here. Before I do really get into it, I want to explain something. I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. I don't consider myself a business coach, a new age business guru. I consider myself a solid managing director of a very, very successful company. But I'm not here to kind of spout out some facts and figures and explain to you, change everything you're doing and come to my way. I'm here to explain some 10 very basic things that I think most companies can change. And these aren't going to be fantastical, amazing, and maybe some of these things you've already heard. But actually my experience in business is it's actually sometimes the basic things which aren't going right. And it's actually being honest and getting those basics right, which has led to some fantastic growth for the company I head up. So can I get a quick show of hands to begin with first? Who here runs a CRM system to manage their clients? There's a couple of nervous hands going up, 4 or 5 hands, so not many. So a CRM system is basically a client relationship management system. It tracks the clients you're working with, and it tracks your relationship with them. And I like the word relationship because we should have relationships with our clients. We should be building relationships with our clients. This is something I actually made a mistake on when I first founded Innovate. We were founded as a startup company, a very, very small startup company. And for that first year, I didn't think Innovate was big enough or really needed a client relationship management system. I managed the relations with our clients. I understood where people were up to, and I understood how far that business was going. And that went great for the first year until I needed to start growing. And I actually had to bring in staff. And 18 months into the company, I was having to try and explain to these people who our clients were, what they did with us, and what previous work they had done with us. And at that point, we decided to install a CRM system called Salesforce. And the upload took about a week of 4 people constantly uploading data to it to complete. We lost an entire week's of work for 4 people. So that's a month basically lost to just uploading data. And the frustrating thing is, I know we missed things. I know we didn't upload everything. And we missed huge bits of data out of how we'd work with people. Now, I'm a data person. That's the way I am. I use data to make business decisions. We can all have thoughts and feelings and things like that, but they can be misconstrued. We can sometimes think something is a great idea. I'm worst. I am as stubborn as they come. If I think something's a great idea, the only thing that's going to put me off is data. Something that physically shows why it would or would not work. Your CRM system is your data on your business. It's going to track what is and isn't working. And actually, you're going to find some interesting things out by actually running a client relationship management system. For example, one thing we figured out very, very quickly was our biggest client was also our biggest time waster. They actually put through hundreds of inquiries with us a year, but only 10% of them would come off. They were great transactions, they were great inquiries, but actually we figured out they send a lot to us that actually doesn't ever convert. So whilst it looks like we're really, really busy doing lots of work with these people, actually 90% of it isn't actually converting. And then when we went back and looked at the data and the types of business they were and weren't confirming with us, we're able to make better decisions in the future when they put inquiries with us. Shall we take that forward? Shall we work with that person? Or shall we understand that actually they're never going to convert this, so let's take a step back and focus on the things that will convert. So a CRM system, if you think you're too small for it, you're not. Because at some point you're going to have to explain to someone why you've been working with someone. Explain the relationships with those people and the businesses they've done with you. This kind of follows on a little bit in terms of that and thinking about automation and how you can actually interact with clients. Like the CRM system, at first I believed Innovate was too small in its first year to use an automated invoicing system. I'd strongly advocate against that. If you don't have something like a SAP or a Xero or something that manages your process and you do the paper invoices and the Microsoft Words, turning them into PDFs and things like that. Just stop and have a think about how much time that takes you to do it. Stop and think about how you're actually understanding what clients have and haven't paid, and then how you're chasing those up. All of those online accounting systems do that for you. There's a little bit of setting up in there. There's a little bit of putting your terms and your conditions and setting the automatic things. But a good online accounting system is actually going to chase up all your invoices for you. You tell it. When my terms get to this point, I want you to chase them. And I want you to say to them, you're late. I want you to add fees on when they do get late and send a new invoice to them. This is all automation. Think about your time as a business person. What are your skills? What are you best at? Unless we've got an accountant in the room here, I'm pretty sure that accounting isn't our key focus and our best thing. We're great at doing what we're doing. And actually, some of these things type an enormous amount of your time. But also then going back to understanding the cash flow of your business. If I asked you to log in now and tell me what the cash flow of your business is for the next 6 months, could you tell me? That's what an online accounting software is going to do for you. And if I'm honest with you, these things are inexpensive and sometimes even free. This isn't, re-understanding business. This is simple things to start thinking about, actually, is this the best use of my time? And can I put processes and systems into place where actually they're going to save me time in the long term? This is a little bit about my business ethos now. Hiring members of staff, hiring team members, I actually think is the hardest thing in heading up a company. You get a piece of paper and maybe an hour, maybe 2 hour conversation to understand everything about someone. And interviews are completely false. Nobody is honest in their interview and everyone is nervous. Even you as interviewing. You're trying to put on a show that you're a professional company, We're a real company. We're a proper company here. Don't mind the office dog running about out there. That's just completely normal. Everyone has one of those. But we're all building up this facade. And actually hiring team members and bringing people into your company is one of the really hardest things. Understand this. Who here owns their business? Who here is the business owner director? Show of hands. Brilliant. No one's going to love your company more than you. No one will. No member of staff will come in and love your company as much as you will. It's just not going to happen. Okay? You will work harder, you will give up more than they will. So don't expect your team to do that too. They're there for a different reason. They're there to build a career. They're there to earn money. And they're there because 9 to 5 every day, they need to work. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't enjoy their work and they're only there for the money. But this comes back to this idea of, I use the word build. Build your team. I had a great conversation with someone downstairs where we were talking about the idea 10 years ago, if you wanted more sales, you went out and hired a salesperson, and that salesperson would get you more sales. That world is kind of disappearing a little bit now because the influence a salesperson has is starting to diminish now. And actually, your company's perception, what people think about you, is starting to play a bigger role in that. So if you want to build your company, you actually need to build a team around that. And people are going to advocate your business, people are going to come to work and be happy on a Monday morning. Now, if you've got team members who are lucky enough to work in a company where they love to work on a Monday morning, I'll guarantee you now you will get 10 times out of them than you will do for people who are just there for the money of it. But you've got to create that ethos. Think about what you need and train them to do it. Don't go out there looking for that person who's going to do it tomorrow. Take the time with people, train them, teach them your things. I go out to Manchester Metropolitan University every year. I spend 2-3 days a year guest lecturing as just something I want to do. And the reason I do that is I think my industry, as a professional business events organizer, isn't represented at universities. They talk about the cool stuff like the festivals and the weddings and the things like that. And we're having a great conversation, myself and Dave at the back there, about Robbie Williams' latest gig and things like that. Kind of expos don't really get that same type of transaction kind of thing going out there. So I go in and I explain to these people, this is what this industry is all about. This is the career you're going to get. There are more female directors in the congress and conference and events industry as a percentage than 99% of other businesses out there. So if you're female and you want to get on the board, actually my industry is one of the best places to be that. All of a sudden people's ears pick up because they actually want to progress with their career. They want to get better and they do want to become a director at some point in the future. But I have to go to them. I have to explain to them why they should work in my industry. I can't just sit there and just expect people to want to work for me. So think about that with your company. Are you going out there, training people, bringing them in, and improving them? Don't just take someone with someone else's bad habits. Give them your own bad habits, because trust me, my people got loads of my bad habits. For those who are a salesperson in the role, I know this is blasphemy. I'm not saying business plans, I'm not saying sales action plans and things like that. Trust me, I've unfortunately had to write, thousands of them over the years. Marketing and sales are now more closely connected than ever before. Marketing and sales are now more closely connected than ever before. We used to have sales teams and marketing teams who would sit on opposite ends of the room because they didn't get on with each other. Actually, salespeople are having to massively rely on those marketing teams now in terms of lead generation. Sure, have a business ethos. Sure, remain fluid as a business into different ideas, but actually physically write a marketing plan for your company every year. Every year, sit down and think about who your clients are. Using that lovely CRM system you've now all installed, you know who these clients are, you know their demographics. But think about who they are and what problem you solve. What service, what product do you do? What problem does that solve? And then go back to your marketing and start thinking about how you're going to explain that to people. I'm trying to keep the slides simple today, but I was really tempted to put a great advert I'd seen up in America. And it was a legal lawyer. And he put enormous billboard up in LA. And he obviously, he deals with people who are basically, they're in jail and they need a good criminal lawyer to come and get them out. And he had this picture of him up there. Either side, he had these two dogs. And I'm looking at this picture and going, okay, fair enough. We'll see how that goes. And below it he says, I'm the best criminal lawyer in LA. Just ask my dogs. I got out thinking, what emotion is that guy stirring in me? How do I feel about that lawyer? To yourselves, how do you want your lawyer to make you feel? Anyone? What emotions do you want to feel about your lawyer? Professional? Professional? Yeah, we'd like to feel that. Secure? I'd like to think he's got, he's going to look after me. I'd like to think he's very, very good at the legal side. I'd like to have confidence in him. Is this guy portraying these feelings to me by saying he's got these two dogs and listen to his dogs about how great he is? It's funny, it's a bit quirky, but that's not the emotions I'm looking for in a criminal lawyer. If I'm in jail and I need someone to call to, I'm not asking the person, hey, call the guy with the two dogs on the billboard. That's who's going to save me today. So think about the emotions that your company gives to your prospective clients. That's marketing. How do they feel about your company? Think about your website. If someone goes onto your website now, how do they feel about what you do? Do you make them feel secure? Do you come across as professional? You all have different clients. I could ask you all here, what's your demographics, who do you work for, etc. You're all going to have a different answer. What works for me might not work for you. But think about that emotion you're trying to stir in people. And that, in the long short of it, that's marketing. But have different types of marketing strategies. I would say 40. 40 different types of marketing strategies. And you can put them under headers. You can think online and digital. There's 10 different ways that you can market your company in a digital sense. You've got your social, you've got your websites, you've got your online editorials. We could go on forever. Print. You could have brochures, you could have flyers, you could have posters, you could have banners. There's 10. Try them. Don't take my word for what works. I could sit here and say social media is a great thing. It's a fantastic thing, mainly because I own a social media conference and it's great if you guys come and register for it. But that's my opinion. My opinion is based on what works for me. I want you to go out there and try these different things. What works, do it more. What doesn't work, do it less. Simple as that. Go out there and try these things for your companies. See what things your clients connect with. Get you business, get you leads, track everything. Again, using that beautiful CRM system you've now got. And then start understanding what is and isn't working. Where is your message sticking and where is it actually not doing anything? And most of these are free. Social media, free. Email marketing, most software up to 2,000 contacts is free. So this is all stuff you can start building into your business. Trial it at first. If it works, then increase what you're doing. You know, I was going to cover the sales pipeline here and things like that, but I know Andy Preston's on this afternoon. And whatever I say, he's going to absolutely blow me out of the water. Because I know that because he's trained my team. So I'm not going to cover that. Instead, I'm going to share kind of one of my biggest secrets. One of my biggest reasons for success. You know, we've all heard that old adage, you know, time is money, right? It genuinely is. It absolutely is. My time, you know, I can go out and make more money. I can go out and run more events. I can go out and hire more, etc. And, you know, I can make more money. There's tons of it out there. There genuinely is. That time, I've only got so much of it. A day, a week, a month, a year. There's only so much that I can give. That's not just your time, though. That's your team's time. You only have so many hours in the office. Start thinking about what are you doing and why are you doing it. Who here knows how to work out gross profit for what they do? 1, 2. Who knows gross profit margin? Do these words ring anything to you? Quite worrying that we don't know what gross profit is, if I'm honest with you. Gross profit is basically your sales minus your variable costs, gross profit. Money you get to keep, basically, and you don't have to give to your suppliers, or you don't have to pay out in staffing. Do you understand your company's gross profit? Nods of the heads, but you know, no one's sticking up the hand. Your gross profit margin is that as a percentage figure. So you then divide your gross profit margin by sales to equal a percentage. That figure is going to differ. Do you know what your gross profit margin is as a company? No? Yeah? Exactly. So you understand how much time you get in, how much money you make, and what is that as a percentage. One of the things Innovate, as a company, do, we have 20 different services that we offer to clients as a Congress organizer. Not everyone needs us for everything. Some people have got fantastic internal teams, but they just need us to solve a little problem. Now, it might be registration for their conference. It might be project management on a new social event. It's different things for different people. They've all got different stress points. But we found out that we were actually spending an awful lot of time on one particular service. And actually, in the UK, we're the best at this. Absolute best. There's no one who's even closer to us because we plow more into the service and software than anyone else. But we spent the summer going through each individual service we provided and working out the gross profit margin of every single thing we did. And actually, our biggest revenue income was actually our worst gross profit margin. So as a percentage, we were working harder for that money than anything else. But you're making money, James, it's great. Yeah, but it's not efficient at my time. You know, if I'm only making 25% margin on something, then actually that's an enormous waste of my time. And each individual sector's got different things. I mean, if you're in the retail industry, you're talking about 60%. If you're in the catering industry, restaurants, cafes, you're probably talking 70, 75%. Should be what you're targeting for. Go away and find out what is your average gross profit margin for each thing you do. Who here offers more than one service, by the way? A couple of hands, you know, different services, different things. I'm going to get on to the guys who don't have like multiple services later. I'm going to get you later on something. But if you offer multiple services, figure out what's better for you to focus your time on. What's going to get you quicker growth? There are some services Innovate provides which have a ridiculous gross profit margin. So it makes sense for me to invest my time in those sectors and those services ahead of the stuff that doesn't. Now we're starting talking about business strategy. This is not, me telling you to go away and come across a new ethos. You should understand your gross profit margins, but then break it down per industry sector that you work in. What is a best use of your time and your team's time? Going back to kind of business philosophy. When I first started out Innovate, there were 10 huge clients that everyone wanted. The Ministry of Defence was the biggest one. I mean, their turnover was amazing. On conference and events, on hospitality, on travel, it was just, wow. You're talking the hundreds of millions. It was brilliant. Everyone wanted them. It was the most heavily competed tender every single year. You know, and everyone threw all their time at it. And at the time, before I'd headed up Innovate, I actually worked for an agency that had that contract. And when we lost it, it was the best thing in the world that ever happened. Because actually, everyone's focusing on those really, really big clients. You'll know them for your industry. Who's the biggest one that you could go after? You know, and everyone wants them. Everyone's tendering for them. Everyone's keeping an eye on those emails that come out from them. Think about this the other way. You know, what about your other clients? Who here thinks that their business is going to grow their client's business? Yeah, so what is it you do there, sir?
We're distributors of backup power systems,
Yeah.
UPSs, so resellers and distributors really.
Yeah, so you believe you're going to provide a better service, a better...
Yeah, we want to expand the business and bring in more clients.
Oh, fantastic. And gentlemen behind